everyone. My name is Tara Luna Porter. I am so excited that all of you have come out. I'm actually an entrepreneur myself. I am a proud mother of a 2-year-old ball of energy. Her name is Nyla. I'm also a mountain mover, and we are so excited that you came out and took time out of your busy schedules to spend time with us as far as this extraordinary event goes. And so we thank you for your patience. Now, we are so excited that it is my pleasure to introduce the members of the Power Speaker and Company. These women have the utmost of respect. They are inspiring to not only myself, but their peers among them. These women have achieved goals that most only dream of, such as creators of renowned international programs and projects. They are the founder and members of the African Women Economic Consortium, PhDs and double PhD holders, a spiritual leader, health educator, authors, an editor-in-chief, and creative director of the world-renowned magazine, and so much more. Additionally, we have a special guest also. We have a couple special guests that are doing wonderful things in their community. We have a state representative, and we have a spoken word poet. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask that you all stay seated until intermission. That will be 15 minutes towards the end of the show. As far as using the bathroom, we ask that you stay seated until the intermission or the end of it. You want to make sure that we give respect to ladies when they're speaking. All right, so without further ado, we're going to begin with a libation ceremony by Dr. Uwa Onyloha-Osimiri. She is the founder and speaker of the Power Speaker Company. She is a spiritual leader of the Chiism and the president and founder of AWIC. Dr. Osimiri has completed her doctoral work in clinical psychology and is an internationally known motivational speaker. She has taught at many different universities across the U.S. and is an advanced online faculty at the University of Phoenix, where she teaches MBA, business and leadership courses. Dr. O has also taken her motivational program to the Chrysler Corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Uwa Onyloha-Osimiri.
Let us stand up. Please let us clap. Let's give God the glory. You don't have something to celebrate. Raise your hands, raise your hands. You know, many people did not see this day, and here you are. There were funerals yesterday, but you were not one of them. You're still inhaling and exhaling. Is that good? I love it. I want you to be so happy. Just turn around and say to your neighbor, neighbor, you are not bound by yesterday. Oh, neighbor, on forward. And y'all say it like you mean it. Neighbor, you are not bound by yesterday. Oh, neighbor, on forward. I want you to be so happy and pray so much. Just turn around and give somebody a hug. Hug a man, hug a woman, hug anybody. You don't have to know them. Just give them a hug. Let's get some eons flowing through this room. Let's thank God the Father, God the Mother, for this wonderful opportunity that we call today. Yes, indeed. Woo, look at you. I thought I was looking good until I saw some of you. Okay, so I'm trying to keep up. Please stand up as we pour libations. My girlfriend here was supposed to sing for us, but there's no music, so she can't do what she's. But that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. We'll get to it. Once I sit down, yeah. Are you ready to do it? You'll do it as soon as we finish libations. Now that we're all standing, everybody. I'm sure most of you understand what libations is, but before I do it, before I start libations is honoring the ancestors. Huh? Honoring those who have laid their footsteps in the mud. Those who, without them, we would not be here today. Each and every one of us have ancestors. So when we pour libations, it's to honor them. And when you fail to honor the ancestors, then you are saying that you don't exist. Now, the other thing is that when we pour libations, when we call the ancestors, we tend to think anybody who has left this earth is an ancestor. It doesn't work that way. Only those who have made it to age 80 are ancestors. Everybody else is on a journey. Okay? So it's important that you understand that when we pour libations, we are honoring those who have made it that far. And then we are going to pour libations for those who are on their journey. And we're going to pour libations in honor of you You see, millions of spirits are looking for one body. And here you are. Is that good? That's who you are. They will never become ancestors unless you conduct yourselves in honorable and dignified manners and honor this body. So they too can get to be ancestors. Somebody say Ise. When I say Ise, that means you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. You don't have to say anything. Okay? But before I pour libations, I've got to ask an elder to give me permission. You see, this is why in Africa, elders are important. We have an elder here, we have an elder, we have many elders in here. We don't have, you see that gray hair? She earned it. You see mine? I earned it. I don't color it. You don't understand? I see yours too. Listen, we say, I see you. I see all of you and I see my elders, and I ask the elders to give me permission to pour libations because I can't assume that I can speak on your behalf. So anyone who's 70 years or above, please stand up. 70 or above. 70, and we have two elders, 70, 3 elders, 70. Could we please clap for the elders? Yes. And I'm going to ask your permission to pour libations. Do I have your permission?
Never.
I do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please understand, if you're not happy with my libation process, please blame the elders, not me. Okay. And as I pour libations, ladies and gentlemen, I ask all of you to please pick up your glass. You're going to need it at some point. When we pour libations, we are honoring the great-grandmothers, the great-grandfathers. Somebody say, he said. We are honoring those who have gone through the journey and they've made it. We pour libations in the different tongues that humanity used to call the name of God. Chineke, Olodumare, Tamona, Jinyami, Katonda, Inyemi, Nkosi, Uvuzilele, Ukulunkulu, Jesus Christ, Allah. Everybody has their way of calling the Creator. And so when we pour libations today, it is whatever you call the Almighty. We pour libation in our honor. Somebody say, we say. We pour libations in honor of our fathers. The fathers, the great-grandfathers who are no longer with us, who made it to age 80, we pour libations and we say, he said. We pour libations in honor of the great-grandmothers who made it to age 80. Somebody say, he said. We pour libations in honor of the children on the journey who are not even born yet, who are going to be the future of humanity. We pour libations and we say, he said. We pour libations and ask the Almighty Creator to give us wisdom as we move through our day. Somebody say, he said. It is not easy to move through day 1 and day 2 and day 3. And so we ask for guidance to do it the right way. Thank you, Divine Father, Divine Mother, for this wonderful opportunity that we call today. Somebody say, he says. Today we move our minds, our bodies, our hearts, our souls, our spirits in the perfected presence of the Creator. Somebody say, he says. Right where we are, the Almighty is. Somebody say, he says. Right where we are, the Almighty is. Somebody say, he says. Creator is in the front of us, behind us, above us, creating energy. Sustainable energy that feeds our spirits, our souls, and keep us above ground. Somebody say, he said. Chineke is what I call God. Chineke is power. I'm a powerful being, and so are you all. Somebody say, he said. Chineke is strength. We are powerful. We are strong. Somebody say, he said. Chineke is peace. We are peace-filled. Somebody say, he said. Chineke is joy. We are joyful. Somebody say, he said. Chineke is the love of our lives, the Alpha and the Omega, bringing joy into our lives. Chineke is the cause and the reason for everything. And as long as we understand that, I have no time for this. As long as we understand, we will be fine. Somebody say, he said. Greater is the power of the Creator in our bodies than any affliction in the world. Somebody say, he said. Greater is the power of Chineke in our minds than any condition in the world. Somebody say, he said. Greater is the spirit of the Creator than any spirit in the world. Somebody say, he said. The spirit of Chineke renews, reaffirms, reassures all that we are. All that we are, God is. All that is noble, we are. It is this truth we claim this day as our divine inheritance. And now we pour libations in the name of all of the ancestors. Now I'm going to ask you to call out the names of the ancestors. If you don't do that, I don't know who you are. That means you don't exist. So when we pour libations, I want you to call out only the names of those ancestors that have seen 80 before they passed away. Nelson Mandela, he said. Uwa Onyloha-Osimiri, he said. Rosa Parks, he said. Come on, call out the names. He said.
Marshall.
He said.
He
said.
Albert Thompson.
He said. He said. He said. Now I want you to call out the names of those who didn't quite make it 8 to 80. They are still on that journey. Now I want all of you to raise your cups. Because someday, when people pour libations, we want them to call out your names. We want them to call your name. And that's why you've got to live to be age 80. No less than that. This is what we want for all of you. To get to be to age 80 and more. Somebody say, he said. Now I want you to call out your names 5 times. 5 times. Uwa. Uwa. Call out your name now. If you want to live long.
Jacqueline.
Now let us all please make noise for our ancestors. Thank you, all of you. You may be seated. And I'm going to ask you now, I know you don't have the music, but please sing.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Osimiri, for that amazing libation ceremony. All right, so she wants me to sing, so I want to sing for you guys. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the song Listen by Beyonce. It's a very powerful song, so granted I don't have the music, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyways. All right? Listen to the song here in my heart, a melody I start but can't complete. Rolling this thing to the sound from deep within, it's only beginning to find release. Oh, the time has come for my dreams to be heard. They will not be pushed aside or turned into your own. Oh, 'cause you won't listen. Someone here inside, someone So, our next speaker, this woman has been in the streets uplifting the community for over 18 years. She is a member of the AWIC Advisory Board. She is the owner of the Greater Vine City Opportunities Program Incorporated in Atlanta, Georgia. She is also the state representative of Georgia. Ms. Thomas's political career started when she was chosen to work on the committee for the election of Jesse Jackson in 1984, Democratic Party. Without further ado, please help me bring to the stage Ms. Mable Thomas.
Let the church say amen.
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 God is good.
All the time.
All the time.
God is good.
All right, thank you so much. I do appreciate the honor of being here today as one of the speakers. But first giving honor to God as the leader of my life. It's a blessing to be here as family, because that's who we are. And it is true that the family that prays together does stay together. And so we send a prayer up right now in Jesus' name. I would like to, before I go any further, to acknowledge someone who was my mentor, and I'm very surprised when I came in to see her. Miss Louise Brown, we're not going to ask you to stand up again, but wave your hand. Miss Brown was one of the directors at the Boys and Girls, the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club where I came up. And really what it is, you know, there's a slogan with the Boys and Girls Club that says, the Boys and Girls Club is a safe place. You know, and that's what we need right now, is a safe place. Especially when it comes to our young people, they need to have a place that they can go to, they are safe, and that they have love. And so I was born and raised in an area called English Avenue. They incorrectly called it the Bluff. But, you know, there was an area within English Avenue that was called the Bluff. And when the news, there was a shooting on Mable and Griffin Street. And it was about a young person. I think the person might have been 13 or 14 years old. And so it's a big deal, you know. I'm not sure the year it was. It was a big deal, and everybody was like, well, when the police came, the question was asked, where did the killing take place, in the shooting? And people answered in the neighborhood, in the Bluff. And the news caught that and never gave it back to us. And so, because that area where that person was killed at was in the area of the 4-block area that was called the Bluff. But at no point was the whole neighborhood ever called the Bluff. So, and some of the young people that live in the neighborhood, especially some of the guys, they like the whole conversation of being from the Bluff because it's sort of like notorious, make them seem like they're really tough. Like, so if somebody mess with them, they say, don't mess with me because I'm from the Bluff. You know, some people say, oh, you're from the Bluff. Because the news keep telling you every day it's the heroin capital. They keep telling you now that that it's opiate. They keep telling you about prostitution. Anything negative you think about, they tell you about English Avenue, what they call the Bluff, and Vine City. But the thing that you got to remember is what manner of people came out of these particular areas. So I submit to you that the area that I'm from, the West Side, is one of the most pronounced in terms of people who come out of that particular area. So let's just start from Vine City and then we'll work our way back. The greatest leader of the 20th century was Dr. Martin Luther King. You get what I'm saying? He had a chance to live anywhere in the world, and yet once he even received a Nobel Peace Prize, he brought his family to Vine City, Sunset. All right? So when Martin Luther King passed away, he lived in Vine City. All right? And the home of Dr. Martin Luther King still exists. It's in existence on Sunset. I think it's 234 Sunset. And until Oprah Winfrey, and I think Elton John might have had something to do with it as well, decided that when they came and saw where she was living, did not feel the honor of who she was and the way she had been in terms of impact. Because some people argue that Coretta Scott King, the Honorable Coretta Scott King, should not have built the King Center. And because Martin Luther King said in his speech, don't build any monuments to me and that type of thing. And that do sound good, but the reality of it is we must recognize our landmarks, our historic landmarks. And we must have some place institutionalized that people can go to find out about nonviolence and about the work that he has done. And so I think that Coretta Scott King went through a lot and took a lot of heat unnecessarily by building the King Center, because people always say, well, you know, he didn't want that. Well, sometimes, you know, a person may at a point in their life say they don't want something, but sometimes you still need to memorialize and put something up. So our young people that come behind us, because sometimes when you're in a classroom, you can ask a young person about Dr. Martin Luther King, and they say he died. Oh, he died. You know, because they don't really, they're not able to connect the dots, right?
Exactly.
All right, so that's what I said. Then if you go over to English Avenue, 7-time Grammy Award winner is Gladys Knight from English Avenue. Went to English Avenue School, which is the school I own. Presently, I bought English Avenue Elementary School to do performing arts, affordable housing, and also health and wellness and daycare and community gardens on site. A 50,000 square feet building that sits on 3 acres of land. My organization, Greater Vine City Opportunity Program, owns right now. So that's Gladys Knight. But let's go further. The man that ran for president of the United States of America was named Herman Cain. He ran as a Republican, but Herman Cain went to English Avenue Elementary School and still presently go to church at Antioch Baptist Church North. But before he ran for president, he already was a millionaire, had made his money through Godfather Pizza. So that's just one other person. The person who integrated University of Georgia was Charlene Hunter Galt, but the other person with him was Hamilton Holmes. Hamilton Holmes integrated University of Georgia. Okay, he lived in English Avenue, on Jones Avenue, and he was the first medical director of Grady Hospital in the city of Atlanta. Go back to Vine City, then you get the Honorable Maynard Jackson, who actually made more black millionaires in the country than any political figure, and itself was a pioneer of being the first black mayor in the city of Atlanta, lived in Vine City. So the reason I sort of say that is to sort of bring you into contextual understanding of the community that they put on the news every day, being a negative, but in reality, it has actually produced more dynamic people than most communities in Atlanta, because at a point, the West Side was one of the few places that we could live, you know, because you couldn't go across a certain area of Southwest Atlanta in Atlanta because they had built a wall. Y'all don't know about that, do you? So the reality of it is Atlanta is a city of civil rights and human rights, and yet it also has become a city that they used to say was too busy to hate, but they're not too busy to hate now. All right, and nor are they too busy. They are too busy to make sure that the people in our community don't get gentrified. So everybody wants the land in the black community, but the black community. I ain't mad at y'all, but y'all won't be mad at me. All right. The bottom line is the property that we have in Vine City, English Avenue, location, location, location. It is closest to downtown than any of these other places in Atlanta. And, you know, everybody don't want to deal with that commute. Because even when I was coming here, it was traffic. I'm like, it's traffic coming out I-20 East, right? But it's traffic going I-20 West. So the bottom line is they want the land back. And all struggle is about land.
Yes.
That's why we must stand for our communities and stand for the land that we own. So I say to you that I come out of a legacy of love. And I would say, going back to Miss Louise Brown and her daughter, Renee, I used to leave English Avenue School, which is the property I own now. Every day of my life, I walked up the street to English Avenue School as a young person, graduated in '69 from that. But every day, mostly, we left there and went to the Boys and Girls Club, that safe place. And when we got there, we saw Mr. Smith, we saw Dr. Eugene Thomas, and we saw Miss Louise Brown. Miss Louise Brown could sew, she could do arts and crafts, she could dance, everything that a young person, wanted to know about, Miss Brown could do it. Miss Brown is 83 years old. I think she may be the oldest in the room. Let's give her another hand. So I did my first speech at Bellwood, Salvation Army, Bellwood Boys and Girls Club. And so my roots is coming out of the Boys and Girls Club and coming out of the love, learning how to swim. When I used to work at the club, she said, how many people know how to swim? Because they had a swimming pool. And so a lot of us didn't raise our hand. She said, well, you're not going to work with me without learning how to swim. So she encouraged me to, you're going to not encourage me, told her, we had to learn to swim so I can swim. So all I'm saying is that who you are is based upon who the Lord allows to come into your space. And so when the people come into your space, you must recognize the greatness of the people who come in. And they say when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And I'm here to tell you that I was ready when I went to Boys and Girls Club, and because of the work, and when I would write the book, Miss Brown would be in the book, because Miss Brown was so kind to us. We thought everybody in life was kind. After seeing Miss Brown, she was so patient with you, no matter if you messed up, she'd say, oh baby, that's okay, and that type of thing. But we didn't know that everybody didn't do that. We thought that's what it was like. So that then we had a covering. So all I'm trying to say, well, whoever I am, whatever you think of me, it's because somebody loved me first. And I'm saying to you, I had no idea today that I would see Miss Brown. And she loved me to this day. When I came in, my daughter sort of asked her, you want to go with me to this event? And then she waited till her to say yes or no, and I guess she sort of said, maybe. And she said, well, Abel, maybe Tom's going to be there. She said, I'll be there. And so, bar none, I am one of the most accomplished state representatives in the state of Texas. And even though people see me, they see me and say, oh, she's an activist. But probably nobody's passed more legislation African-American than me in the General Assembly. Because favor of the Lord, favor ain't fair. All right, and so I just want to put a couple of things out there that you can know, because when you think about it, you think somebody else of another hue did it. I am author of the first mandated benefit in the state of Georgia, the first mandated benefit in the state of Georgia that requires insurance company to pay for mammograms, pap smear, and the prostate cancer test. I'm author of the legislation that gave what they call first responders license to all fire trucks in the entire state of Georgia, where they can come to a scene of an accident before an ambulance, they can hook you up to IV and give you whatever service you need without feeling they may be sued. I'm the author of the rape shield bill in the state of Georgia that makes it harder for a woman's past sexual history to be brought into court unless there was a past relationship with that person who's being accused. I passed more homestead exemption bills than anybody, where I was the person that changed the homestead exemption from 5,000 to 15,000. Came back maybe 8 years later, changed it from 15,000, and then it made it for 3 years, for a 3-year span, to go to 30,000. And then I passed a bill that says if you're 65 years and older and make 200% of the poverty line, which is about $24,000 a year, you can petition this Fulton County to have your taxes cut in half. So these are just some of the things, whatever, that I've done. But the relativity is that who I am is in the street. And so I pass legislation. I wear African clothes. I speak for my people. I speak with my people. I walk with the people. I am able Thomas.
Hey!
All right, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thomas. We appreciate you. You definitely do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, how was that? That was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, so this next woman of power that I'm going to introduce you to is Dr. Imani Ma'at. She is a Harvard-educated health educator and author who has worked at the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention for over 22 years. She has created the award-winning Healthy Haiku workshops and has been working in her magic with the inmates at the DeKalb County Jail for over 2 years. Please help me welcome Dr. Imani Ma'at.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Never ever did I think I would have to speak after Abraham. Never ever, but I'm going to give it my best shot. If nothing else, she's motivated me to stand in my power. And with all the work that you've done, we have to continue to serve our communities and do the work. And that's what I try to be about, just doing the work. So in life, there are a lot of firsts, first words, first steps, first crush, first rejection, first college entrance paper notice that you got into college. You know, how exciting is that? Lots of firsts. But what happens is every time something new happens in our life is never ever the same again. It can't be, because it's change, it's growth. And our lens is wider in terms of how we view the world. You know, we're going to view it from a little different perspective, okay? So I'm going to tell you a story that has some of my firsts woven through it, having to do with siblings and family and travel and illness and recovery. But most of all in my story, because I generally talk about health and wellness, most of all I want to just convey to you that the most important first for me, one of the most important first, was learning that we are our own first healer. Okay, so we so often look to other people to tell us what's going on in our bodies and what's happening with us. And we know, we know if we just listen in, we know. So I want you to kind of listen to the little hints throughout the story that I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to take you on a journey. You want to go?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, really?
Yes.
It's sunny Jamaica in the West Indies. Do you all want to go with me?
Yes.
Yes. Let's do it. Of course. Let's do it. All right. First trip. I was 4 years old. Okay? I went with my mom and my first big brother and a host of aunties and other relatives. I think we packed this particular plane. I don't know if it was Delta or if it was Air Jamaica or whatever, but we were very present in this plane. And it's funny because the thing that I remember about the plane ride is that we had to stop in Montego Bay, and I think the plane regassed or something, and for some reason we had to deplane. Okay, so we got off the plane, and I remember that the plane almost left us. Why? Because I had to go to the bathroom. I had to do number 2. Okay? And so it was long before I had learned that old black, saying that, you're not supposed to go to the bathroom in public places, And it's a shame because I learned that after that trip. But, once I learned it, it really kind of messed with my body, okay? And I found that chronic constipation was like part of my story into my adult years, probably into my 30s, maybe even early 40s. Because what I learned was when you ignore your body's signals and messages to you, after a while it stops sending them. It's like she's not going to listen anyway, so why tell her she's got to go to the bathroom and she got to poop? Right. So, and I apologize if this is too graphic for anybody, but I've been working in public health for a long time, so we talk about everything.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot of information and people having to poop, and it's connected with disease and with life and death for a lot of people, okay, and with cancers. So anyway, we're in Jamaica, and in addition to falling in love with Jamaica, I fell in love with mangoes. I've actually titled this story, my first, somebody a mango lover back there? I actually discovered mangoes for the first time in this trip, okay? Now remember, I'm only 4, but I remember I was sitting at my aunt's kitchen and she's cutting up this weird looking fruit. And I could smell it already. I was like, that smells really good. And she cut it up and I tasted the mango and I was like, wow, where has this been all my life? You know, I got mad at my mother. It's like, how come we didn't do mangoes in New York? I didn't quite get it. And so the mango, the first lime story is not as exciting, but also very interesting in terms of the health perspective. I discovered a lime bush outside of one of my uncle's homes, and I sat there and I peeled those limes, and I must have eaten 4 or 5 limes, okay? And actually broke out in hives all over my body. But it was actually a good thing because children know instinctively how to balance out their bodies. We don't know. I remember we were eating a lot of sugar on that trip, a lot of sweets, candies, and cakes, and just a lot of sweets in addition to the sweet fruit. And, you know, our bodies have to be balanced. So as a child, I'm sitting there doing these limes because I got to get this stuff out of me. The parasites were not happy at all. They were very upset because I had just messed up their plan to kind of take over my body. But as a small child, I was tuned into that, okay? So another interesting part of the story was connecting with cousins of mine who lived in the suburbs of Kingston. And we played, we had fun. It was, to me, you know, it looked a lot like where I grew up outside of New York City, big houses and lots of places to play. You know, from the lens of a 4-year-old, you know, I was okay because we were playing. My cousins liked to play in the dirt with their shoes off. And I was like, oh, it's way too hot, and my feet are way too soft for that. So I'm going to keep my sandals on. But we played, we had a good time. It was so, and me and my cousins are friends to this day. They live in Miami. They came up here because of the hurricane, and we got to hang out 2 weeks ago, which was so nice. But I was there playing. I remember I was standing on the porch, and I was looking at something. I was bent over, and I was looking at something. And the next thing I know, there was all this commotion. My brother was beating up my cousin because it turned out as I was leaning over, he had decided he wanted to see what a body looked like cut in half. So he was like coming at me with this machete, right? So, yeah, so big brother #1 saved my life. And I'm thankful to him for doing that, you know. And another interesting part of the story was that it was around that time that I'm like, where's my sister? Because I was so used to her being on this hand, and my brother being on the other hand, and we were like the fearless threesome. And she was missing, you know, and she was kind of my rock. She was 2, okay. But she was really powerful, and I kept, you know, close hands with her. Anyway, I was sleeping one evening, and I heard, woo, woo. And I couldn't stop. I'm like, oh my God, they got ghosts here. You know, so what am I going to do? And where is Arlene to have my back when there's a ghost? You know, and they said the next day, oh, they weren't ghosts. Those were dogs that were rattling with the garbage cans. And I'm like, I know dogs. We've been raising dogs all my life. Okay, I know about dogs. Those were not dogs. Those were ghosts. Okay, and I knew about ghosts, but I didn't quite understand the psychology of chickens. Okay, so me and this chicken were hanging out one day, and you know, we became friends. We were running around the yard. I was chasing it. It was chasing me, and I was playing with this chicken. It was amazing. I loved it. It was so much fun. And we went out to somewhere that afternoon, probably to visit my aunt who was ill. That's why we were packed up on the plane to come and see the woman who had raised my mom and her sisters, because her mom died when she was really young. But anyway, it was really interesting that I'm going to go back to collect. There's so many stories that I want to share with you, but so where's all this going anyway? You know, there are lots of things that happened on that trip. There were lots of
that chicken.
Huh?
What happened to the chicken?
The chicken. Thank you. The chicken. you know, and it's such a bad memory that I always forget about it. I came home that day from wherever we traveled to, and I was like, where's my chicken? And I'm looking around, you got my chicken? Where is my chicken? I don't see it. And so we had missed dinner. And I came in. I don't like that part of the story. I came in, and it was like something out of a horror movie. They had this tray with this covering on it. It was like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's the chicken. I screamed. I was so upset. I was so upset. That's why I forget about that part of the story. It was such a bad memory. I was surprised that I wouldn't talk to anybody. I cried all night. I'm like, I can't believe they killed my chicken. You know, and the moral of that for me was, don't make friends with chickens, because you might come home and find them on the plate ready for you to eat. So anyway. So where's all of this going? First trip, first plane ride, anywhere. You know, first time having mangoes, first time getting hives from eating too many limes, first time hanging out with my brother in Jamaica and meeting my cousins in Jamaica, first time learning that I shouldn't play with chickens because they might end up dead on your plate. So anyway, where this is going is 50 years later, okay? And now at this point there are 4 sisters, not just 2. There's 4 sisters. The family continued to grow. My brother is like the quintessential big brother of all of us, all of our lives. He's holding on to, I don't know how many hands he has, but holding on to all 4 of us. You know, being the one who is the provider, the caretaker, you know, the one who would have our backs if anything happened. He would help us to cover things up that we weren't supposed to be doing. He was always there for us. All right, 50 years later, he gets diagnosed with end-stage cancer. Okay, and sister number 1, that would be me, was very upset. When I first learned, I was devastated. And then I said, wait a minute, we don't go out like that. Not with all that I know. I was like, absolutely not. You know, and it's bad because the doctor had told him that he had a 4% chance of, this was right around this time in 2015. The doctor told him he had a 4% chance of living into 2016. Doctors should never do that. You know, in fact, I have a friend I just spoke to, and he told me that he told his doctor, don't give me no dates, don't give me any projections of whether I'm going to live or not live, or how long I'm going to live or not live, but went into high gear. I'm like, okay, we got this. Okay, my brother has cancer, and this is my test. You know, to put everything, because I've been working in health and wellness, worked at CDC 22 years, been learning about natural health and wellness for many, many years. It's probably longer than from when I was at CDC. So we got him alkalizing. That was the first thing. Me, my sister, my son, we said, we got to get him an alkaline machine, a Kangen machine. And immediately, once he started drinking the water, the pain in his liver would subside. I mean, immediately, like that day, you know, so we were very excited about that. We also got him changing his diet, you know, that old sad diet, standard American diet. You know, you wake up in the morning, your eggs, your grits, your cheese, your meats, you know, all of that stuff was not serving him. It doesn't serve us. It really doesn't. You know, so we got him drinking green smoothies and putting the nutrients that he needed in his body. And so it was the change of diet. It was the supplements. There were a lot of different supplements that we introduced. Now, he did do chemo against my better wishes. And I should do my little disclaimer that none of this information is intended to take the place of your doctors. You know, it's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent anything. But it's so important that I share this with you because it has meant life and death for a lot of people. So we had him alkalizing, we had him on supplements. Supplements, HGA, there's an amino acid form of human growth hormone that's really, really important for helping to build your body at the cellular level. There's CBD hemp oil, which Dr. Sanjay Gupta from CNN, you all know him, he has said is one of the most powerful things in terms of addressing the #1 disease and illness, which is inflammation. Yes. You know, so CBD hemp oil, which is legal in all 50 states. You know, they gave marijuana a bad rap years ago, and this is the marijuana plant without the THC. It doesn't get you high. doesn't do any of that. But if you want more information about the importance of CBD oil, Linda Pitsoulis is in the back, right there, behind Namdi, in front of Namdi. So she's been teaching me a lot about CBD hemp oil. There's also oregano oil.
I use oil of oregano.
A friend of, I took this live and raw food class, mainly because Living Foods Institute, I wanted to learn more about how natural foods could help heal the body. And there was a woman in the class, a little French woman, and she said, oregano oil tells cancer cells to commit suicide. I said, say that again. Oregano oil tells cancer cells to commit suicide. I said, wow, we need some of that too. So oregano oil was on the list. So many things, parasite cleanse. I don't know how many of y'all know the connection between parasites and cancer. It's almost like the one about not going to the bathroom and cancer. Because parasites get in there, like sugar and parasites and cancer. And there's some experts who say cancer is really just about an overgrowth of parasites in your body. And that stuff needs to be cleaned out so your body can do what it needs to do to heal itself and to function perfectly, right? So what else did it, enzymes, probiotics, prebiotics, a number of things that we added to his regimen that have all helped him. Like I said, I'm not trying to diagnose it, to tell anyone else what to do. Certainly if anyone has a illness, you need to check with your provider, your doctor, whoever. I'm just here to share, our experience as a family. So I want to invite you, I'm going to wrap this up because I can go on and on. I want to invite you to think about your health proactively. Think, that old saying that you are what you eat. Yeah. I mean, we really are. If you're eating junk all day long, that's what's in your body. When you see people walking around with stomachs that are out here and they're not pregnant, it's like, the whole thing with parasites in my head is like, what in the world is swimming in there? It's not serving. It's not serving us, So, we can all do better, and I help to coach people to get from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C. It's gradual. It's definitely a gradual thing. Don't eat too many meats or sweets or wheat. What did I leave out, Adaora? Salt. Processed foods. Yeah, she's going to talk a lot about natural foods. This is kind of a precursor for the things that she's going to share. So I do want to invite you to do conscious eating. Whenever we want to find something out, we Google it online, right? So, there's a lot that we can learn about natural health just by Googling it online. I've got an information sheet back at my table that will give you some links to some of the things that I was talking about. Make sure you come by and see my books and some of the other things that I have going on over there. And I want to leave you with this one thought, which is very, very powerful. I use it in my work at the jail with the inmates. It's an ancient Hawaiian healing tool called the Ho'oponopono. I want everybody to stand up, please. The Ho'oponopono is so very powerful that it's the kind of thing you say it to yourself. It's like a prayer, it's like a chant, but you say it to yourself all day long. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. Now turn to one of your neighbors and let's say this together. I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
And thank you.
And thank you.
Say it again. I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
And
Thank you. This is so very powerful. I've had inmates come back and tell me, I've used the Ho'oponopono. My daughter was trying to start a fight with me, and I just said, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. And the daughter said, did you just say you love me? Yes, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. And guess what the daughter said? I love you more.
Oh, yeah.
End of the conflict. So I got people all over DeKalb jail doing the Ho'oponopono on themselves to clean their own energy, because we're all energy, we're all vibration, and it ripples over to the next person. So with that, I'm done. Namaste.
Protein in there. Okay, so thank you again. So this amazing powerhouse, this next amazing powerhouse, holds a special place in my heart. She's a proud wife, of a loving husband, and a mother of 2 strong little boys ages 3 and 4. She is the editor-in-chief, creative director of world-renowned Prism magazine. She is a nationally known raw vegan chef and the founder of Gotham Raw. She has been featured in multiple magazines for her dedication to raising awareness on the importance of healthy living and animal rights. It's a long list, isn't it? She has walked the runways in New York City. She also has her bachelor's degree in fashion retail management and has an amazing following on social media for being an inspiration to be yourself. Now let's bring the Queen of Goth to the stage, shall we? Everyone, please put your hands together for Miss Adaora Osimiri.
Follow-up Mable Thomas. Dr. Imani. I don't know where I'm going to start now. But I will start by saying good afternoon. And again, thank you all for being here. As she did state, my name is Uwa Onyloha-Osimiri. I am the founder of Adaora. I have been vegan for 20 plus years. I'm the mother of 2 boys who, they keep me on my toes, that's for sure. And I am a proud and loving wife, and I am an entrepreneur. So, the first thing I'm going to start out with you guys is, I'm going to ask a little question. This is going to be very interactive. How old do you think I am? Go ahead. I'm allowing this. Go right ahead. Yes. Yes. Oh,
28.
who said 10? What? Somebody said 28?
I did.
I love you. Anybody else want to guess? 25? I'm 36. I have had 2 children back-to-back C-sections, and I am 36, and like I said again, I am a proud vegan. Now, of course, with me telling you I'm 36, that means that black don't crack. However, while it's beautiful it's great to look beautiful on the outside, it also means nothing if you do not take care of your inside. So when you hear about veganism, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Who knows what veganism is? What would you think that it may be?
Eat grass.
They don't eat meat dairy.
No, doesn't eat meat, doesn't eat dairy. Did you just say grass?
Yes.
The backyard? That's what a lot of people say. You just mow the lawn with the trees.
Nothing that lives.
Good, good. The 3 that answered are right. Grass. But what veganism is, and actually there's various types, but veganism pretty much is the non-consumption of animal byproducts and meat. Now, veganism is just not that. You have raw veganism, you have fruitarianism, so fruitarians just completely just consume fruit for the most part, and then you have raw vegans. I'm raw vegan. The difference between a raw vegan and a vegan is vegans eat cooked, while raw vegans eat live. Pretty much what you were saying, Dr. Imani, we were saying. So we don't eat anything that has been processed or cooked, so it stays in its live state, which is definitely better for your system. Now, I want to, before I go any further, there's a disclosure. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying anything will cure. I'm just sharing my experience with you guys, because I love to do that, and that's what I do with everybody that I speak to when I go on these circuits and the events. Now, I wasn't a vegan until I was 16. That's where my journey started. In high school, I had a friend. Her name is Anna. She was very much a flower child. She was my best friend. She is literally my sister from another mother. And so I was spending the night at her house, and she was like, I want you to try something. I was like, okay. She was like, you're just going to up and do it. I was like, I trust you. Why should I not trust you? So she put something in a cup, and it was a version of soy milk that you can find at GNC. It's a powder, actually. It's called spiruline. And so, are you familiar with that? I went ahead and she said, try this. I was like, okay. So when I tried it, I was like, this tastes just like milk. She was like, but it's not. I was like, what are you talking about? She said, it's plant. I said, like, say that again. I don't understand what you're talking about. She's like, it's plant-based. So she was like, there's no dairy, no animal whatsoever. I was like, so what did this spawn? More research. I easily gave up red meat. And I come from a Nigerian family, so goat, chicken, fish. My mom was like, you're crazy, what is this on her? What is she doing? And it was quite easy to give it up. I was still consuming, like chicken and turkey, but I was weaning myself off. The first thing that you notice when you stop eating red meat, it takes so long to process in your system. If you're gassy, bloated, you have a distended stomach, that's because it's taking so long to break down. And it's bad, it just ferments in your system. Why would you want that sitting in there? Would anybody want something like that sitting in there? If you had a cup and you were able to watch that process, you would completely change your mind. So after that, I was like, okay, I noticed I felt better. I was like, this is what it means. I started weaning off of certain dairy. So my pivotal moment came when I went to a concert. I was living in Michigan, so I was watching a band called Emory. And after they played their set, I was like, oh, okay, everybody goes to a merch table. You want to see what they're selling, my music. So as I turned to go over there, I'm noticing that girls are covering their mouths, they're with their boyfriends, and they're holding their faces, and they're crying, and I'm like, I don't see, it's just music. Is the music terrifying? I don't understand why you're holding their faces or running. So as soon as the table started to clear, and my curiosity was even more piqued, there were a video of factory farming. Now they are a pro-PETA band. They're against animal cruelty, they're vegan themselves. It was literally at that moment that I was like, done. It was where you're mortified and you're like, you can't believe what you're watching, but you need to see it. Because this is what's on your plate. This is what they're presenting to you. This is what you're going into store to buy. And then you have to ask yourself the question, if any of you have pets, did you eat your pet? If you consider your dog or your cat family, or you consider that they have the right to be here and walk, isn't it the same thing that you would feel for a cow, for a chicken? Just like you said, mortified when you saw them when you were little. It was absolutely life-changing for me. That also spurred the animal activist part of me. If I can't watch something happen, every single thing that walks deserves the right to be here. I can't look at something and be like, oh yeah, well, this is a sweet little puppy, give me that steak. That doesn't make any sense. So after seeing how these animals were treated, I said, I can't no longer not just eat them, but my purpose is even further than that. So I started to go further into veganism and activism. Mama instinct. So I went ahead and once I just completely eliminated everything from my diet, I felt so much better. Now, as a college student, the first thing you're doing is you don't have that much time to cook, right? College student, homework, testing, working as well. Whole Foods. I lived for Whole Foods, which is now called Whole Paycheck because it's very expensive. So I just go to farmers markets, so much better now. But Whole Foods was the place to go where I was living in Rochester Hills, in Michigan. And I bought everything. I would go and I'd go to the frozen section. Oh, it's vegan. Purchase, 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 purchase. Completely fine, right? Or so you thought. Well, it was processed. It was completely processed. High salt. Don't know what they're still putting in there. There are a lot of companies nowadays that are putting vegan under the umbrella, even though they don't care. They'll market and say, oh, it's vegan, it's non-GMO, but you'll find BHT. You'll find this chemical in it. You'll find that chemical. So you must read. I stand there at stores and I look like a crazy person reading every label that you can think of because I want to know what I'm putting in my body. So I had very severe anemia, really bad anemia, and my level got down to about a 7. So I was cold, and when I went to Nigeria, I wear jeans, hoodies. You're talking about 90, almost 100-degree weather, and I'm covered because I'm cold. And I was like, but I'm eating healthy. I don't get it. I don't understand why I'm still feeling this way. And like I said again, processed foods. So I started weaning completely over process and went to cooking my food. Noticed a completely different change in my body. When you prepare something, you know what's in it. You don't have to worry about what the effects are doing to your food. Because just like I said, it's a money-making thing now. Unfortunately, a lot of companies that didn't care, they see that it's a growing, and it's not a trend, that's the problem. It's not a trend, it's a lifestyle. But they see it as a trend, so what are they going to do? They can barge and jump on a trend. So you have to know the difference. Your life depends on it. Your vessel will thank you for it. So after that, I decided I'm going to go ahead and transition into raw. Now, do I prefer it? Overcooked? I do. Is it a little bit more challenging than if you had to prepare a meal over the stove? A little bit, but not that bad. Now I will say it's not just salads. It's not just smoothies. It's not the backyard. It's not like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and just eat grapes or just a bag of apples. There's so much more that you can do. There is variety. Like, I'll give you a typical day, because a lot of people are like, well, what do vegans eat? What do they consume? I'll do a smoothie. Now, here's what, once I say what's in the smoothie, people are like, oh my God, that's a lot. I'll do 7 to 8 bananas in a smoothie, about 5 dates, an entire bag of blueberries. I'll do some turmeric, maybe a bag of peaches. But I just saw somebody go, what? And it's about 64 ounces. About 64 ounces, that's breakfast. The whole thing is breakfast. For snack, I'll have figs, maybe some cashews. Raw cashews are preferred. Then for lunch, I'll go ahead and have a mono-meal. Does anybody know what mono-mealing is?
One thing.
Perfect. It's taking one thing and consuming it in large amounts. So maybe 3 to 4 pints of strawberries, or picking a fruit that you mangoes, which I love. Not eight mangoes you can do. You don't have to pork it all down because your body will tell you when you're full, but in a good way. So you're gonna burp a lot. That's what happens a lot of times is you end up burping a lot because your stomach is trying to make space. So it'll clear and then allow you to take in more. Then I'll have a midday snack, maybe a juice that I'll do, like 32 ounces of a juice. And then dinner, we'll close up with what I like to use as a spiralizer. Does anybody know what a spiralizer is? It's the coolest tool ever. If you walk into my kitchen, my mom's like, you have just gadgets everywhere. There's a spiralizer, there's a dehydrator, there's a Vitamix, there's all these things. It's pretty much where you take, and you've probably seen it, they'll take zucchini, for example, and it looks like it's noodles. So it'll run it through and spiralize it to noodles. You can do about 5 to 6 of those and create a cashew or a cashew fettuccine dressing or a pesto, and that's what I eat. Maybe follow it up with a fruit. That's a lot of food, and people, unfortunately, nowadays calorie count, especially us women. We're like, no, I'm not taking in about 3,000 calories, 4,000 calories. It's all good calories. It's nothing bad for your body. And the good thing about it is natural and simple sugars, natural carbohydrates, they'll all burn quickly out of your body because you're keeping active. So you don't need coffee, you don't need energy shots, put that $12 Starbucks away. You don't need to go ahead and pay for that. You want to go ahead and put a good $12 to use, go ahead and buy fruits and vegetables, it helps. And that's where it takes me to another key point when people are like, well, it's too expensive. Excuses. Excuses. They don't do anyone any good. When someone's like, it's too expensive, just like I said, I used to work at Starbucks. People would come in for a coffee that cost $12 to $15. $12 to $15 for a cup of coffee. Logic. Out the window. Let's think here. Okay? That's going to be gone in what, half an hour to an hour. But veganism is too expensive. Oh, where'd you get your shoes? Oh, I got them at the mall. How much were they? $300? Priorities. Where are your priorities? But veganism is too expensive. I just bought this brand new car. How much did it cost? Oh, about $80-something thousand. Okay, if you need it, then I understand. But if you have 3 or 4 cars, priorities. So it's like when people tell me it's too expensive, I'm like, you're making an excuse. You're making an excuse. What is your real logic for saying that you can't do it? Are you scared? Do you not know? I will say when I started, there weren't a lot of resources at all. It was just like I had a friend that was, then I explored, and then Whole Foods. Like that's all I knew. No animal byproduct, researching with PETA. But now there's so many resources online. There's so many groups. There's so many events. If you want to know how to get into it, where do I start? There's nothing that can stop you or hold you back. And it's more simple than you know. Farmers markets are the best places to go because you can buy in bulk. So that, like $100, you can get so much. If you're doing it for yourself, you can buy a lot. Now, I do for a family of 4. Both of my boys are vegan. They've been vegan since birth. My 3-year-old has a 6-pack. I'm not joking with you. He has so much energy because he just runs, and that's from the foods that he eats. So a lot of people will ask me, well, is it dangerous for kids to be on a vegan diet? Not if you're doing it correctly. Now, we all know for a fact that kids need to take in extra than adults do. So you double it. Vitamins and multivitamins are key for children, especially if you're vegan. Vitamin B12 is key. It needs to be in your system. Oh, what do they do for protein? Sometimes I wish I could walk around with, you know those markers that if you're invisible, but if you cut off the light, then just shows all words? I just want to write every single ounce of what you can get protein from and be like, here you go, here you get protein from. Soy, legumes, nuts, beans, I mean, there's where you get a lot. Potatoes, there's so much that you can get your protein from. Mushrooms contain 27 grams of protein. Kale contains 22 grams of protein. People think vegetables don't contain it, you need to have meat. That's not the case. As a matter of fact, a piece of steak only contains 15 grams. You know, which one do you want to consume and which one is better for your body? You know, so when people ask that question to you or people don't know, that's what you let them know. That's what you tell them. Well, I don't know where to start. How do I do this? There's a list. The Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Has anybody heard of that list? The Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 is a list where the Dirty Dozen is all fruits and vegetables that must be consumed organic. Can somebody tell me why they must be consumed organic?
Because they're heavily toxic because of the chemicals and stuff they take them in.
Correct, because the skin is very thin. So you're consuming all of that. So if you're looking at an apple and you're like, oh, I'll just get it, you know, there's conventional, and you look at the organic thinking it won't make a difference, pesticides. Pesticides. Okay? That's what keeps the body sick. That's what keeps the body sick. And now more and more they're spraying even more, they're changing it up. Monsanto is still here. The United States is the only place that has not regulated the stopping of that. But other countries have. Doesn't make any sense. If an organic apple is going to cost me $1 more, I'm going to take that because my body will thank me for it. So there is, then you have the Clean 15, or the Dirty Dozen, sorry, and then you have the Clean 15. The Clean 15 are the ones that you don't have to buy organic. So you're looking at watermelon, honeydew, onions, sweet potatoes you don't have to buy organic. And this means, avocados you don't have to buy organic. Lemons you don't have to buy organic. Oranges you don't have to buy organic. You know, so it's like, it's very cost efficient.
Why?
If you have that list, because the skin is thick enough where the pesticides do not penetrate, as they cannot get into the skin pretty much. So that's why you don't have to buy them organic. You can if you choose, but even I don't even do that. It's pointless. If I know which ones are are safer, or the ones I don't have to have them because of the thickness of the skin, those are the ones I go for. Again, I have 2 kids. They eat like football players. So I make sure that I stay in a good budget. But it's not that hard. Again, that's another resource. If you didn't know, now you have a tool to help you with that. Now, I'm going to go back into something that I just want to clarify here. I was talking about meat, right? Red meat. And there's a scenario that I always like to bring up to people. And it's funny because anytime I go to a Kroger or anything like that, my husband will be with me, and as soon as I see someone who's in the organic food section or natural section, I'm like, oh, he's like, well, I'm gonna leave her. She's having a conversation. Your kids, let's go find something to do every single time. I guess because I just get excited that people are interested, because you're considering, I want to better my health. So I always do this scenario when I meet someone who wants to prevent me with a meat issue. I said, okay, when a lion is out, and makes a kill, what does the lion do? The lion takes that meat back to the pride immediately, correct? And why? The pride has to consume it because once air hits that, what color does it turn? It's black, right? Gray. It starts to die. So then explain to me, if that's what happens when fresh meat is killed, does it make any sense for it still to be red on the shelf?
No.
Does it? Does it make any sense for it to say, oh, it's good till 2019? Does it?
No.
That color is unnatural. The whole thing of it is unnatural. It defies logic. Again, logic. Because they pump it full of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, DHT, to give it that color. It's dead already, but it's fresh for you. Does it make any sense? Does it? I'm going to give you something that's quite, I guess I would say graphic, but it's good for you to know. Dr. Imani laid out some things that we need to know about parasites and stuff that are lying in the body. Do you know what's in milk? Do you know what's in milk? Parasites, pus, blood. That's what you find. You know why those are in there, but they don't want to tell you. They artificially inseminate these cows. They pump them full of chemicals, at least 450 chemicals, and antibiotics are pumped into these animals, and you drink that. But milk is good for you.
Got milk?
Milk is good for you. It's all a ploy. It's all a ploy. It's all a money-making thing for the industry. They don't care about what they're putting into those animals, okay? They don't care that you're drinking that. They don't care about the suffering that they're putting those creatures for. And I always say, a cow's milk is for baby cows, okay? It's for baby cows. That's what the animal's milk is for. It's for that baby, okay? Not for us. It's not for us. So what milk do I drink? Cashew, almond, hemp. Let me keep going. Pistachio. People are like, where do you get that? It's too expensive. Here's a trick. Take nuts, soak them for 24 hours, drain it, put it in a blender, milk it. Ta-da! It's that simple. That simple. And if you're, like again, saying that you were looking for what about the vitamins that go into it, there's vitamins within it because once you rehydrate nuts, the enzymes are active again. But you can also, if you wanted to, like add a multivitamin in, take the powder and blend. It's super simple. I make nut milk, and it only costs me to make nut milk and 64 ounces of that $1.20 for 4 days.
Oh.
That's it. That's it. So veganism is not difficult at all. I just want everybody to think. Just to think. And I want to touch upon something that's so interesting, and I just totally just realized this too. But of course, our presentation, of course, today is we are not bound by yesterday on board, correct? Well, we are not bound by stereotypes. Okay? That's what I want to touch upon. I am a goth girl, gothic woman. You change that, I'm not a girl, I'm a woman. I have been in the goth culture for many years, and there's such a misconception about what gothic people are. When you think about someone who's goth, you just think they're scary, they're creepy, they're just in black, they're moby. Yes, you do have some of us that are, and then you have those that are just happy. Like someone said, you're the happiest goth I've ever met in my life. I can be cheery, I have a lot to be cheery for. I have a beautiful family. I love my life. But I also appreciate the goth and math break culture. I love knowing about the unknown. There's something beautiful within that. If you have questions, you want to know. And it's the same thing that goes with veganism. If you have questions, you want to know. You're not bound by stereotypes because vegans are viewed down upon as well. Well, if you're vegan, you're uptight. You know, if you're a gothic, you're gonna drink my blood. I don't know. You know, think and ask questions. Think and ask questions. Do I like skulls? Yes. Do I like cemeteries? I think they're absolutely beautiful. Architecture is beautiful. The lyrics are beautiful. I do. But there's stereotypes. Just like if you're black, you have to listen to only rap. I like industrial music. I like rock music. Doesn't make me less of who I am. It shows that you do not need to go by stereotypes. And in the vegan community, I had something that happened where 2 people sent me a message. When I started Goth and Raw, my husband was one of the biggest inspirations as well. Because he was like, you need to start taking pictures of your food. You know, show people. I'm like, oh, it's not that great, you know, I'm just making a dish, you know. He was like, no, go ahead and do it. So I said, all right, so what am I gonna call myself? And he was like, well, you're a goth girl and you eat raw foods. Goth and Raw success! Here's my business. So it's like Goth and Raw was born. And I started to go ahead and develop my dishes. And then, like, you know, like I said before, anybody can have a smoothie. You know, I'm not a rainbow hippie child. You know, I'm not about unicorns and flowers, and I like flowers, but I'm not about unicorns and dressing and color. And I'm not the only person who is the same way. So I said, I want to go ahead and create dishes kind of as a representation of myself. So all of my dishes focus a lot on the darker fruits and vegetables because they're beautiful, yes, but they also contain the most nutrients within their skin. So I will go for heirloom, I will go for rare, I love shopping for ones that you can't find anymore, and putting those into my food. So it's almost art. And when I make it, it's like, I'm not making it to snack and then I throw it away. This is what I eat. You know, this is what my husband eats. This is what I eat. This is what I want to share with everyone. So it caught on so quickly, which I didn't expect. And I had 2 people send me a message. One was a vegan bodybuilder. He sends me a message saying, I think what you're doing is a joke. People like you don't exist. there were some swear words in there. You were just going off on me, saying that I need to cut the crap, this is not going to go far, things like that. Now, I am a woman of class. Was I angry? Yeah, very appalled. But I said, I'm not going to handle it in the way that you are approaching me. I need to do this on a different level. So I ended up typing a message letting people know that you do not let people define you. You stay true to who you are and what you're doing. You are hurting the vegan community by acting this way. You're not representing what us vegans are representing. We are not an exclusive club. We are inclusive. Anyone, regardless of gender, race, religion, color, subculture, you're all coming for the same cause. You're vegan for the earth, for your health, for your animals, whatever one you pick to choose. That's what you're here for. And we're supposed to embrace each other. You're wanting to do better. That's how I approached it. Then I had another one that sent me a message and said, why are you not like this other personality named Christina? I said, I'm not Christina. I'm Adaora. I'm Onyloha-Osimiri. I'm Adaora. That's who I am. Happy for Christina, but I'm not her. And I will not change. If you like me, fantastic. If you don't, that's fantastic too. She's not for everybody, and I may not be either. But I will have a following of those that will follow. So by staying true to yourself, you end up being featured in Vegan Lifestyles magazine out of the UK, Necromancy Radio magazine out of Australia. And you also find yourself being booked to speak at the Alexandria Palace in the UK next year. So in anything that you're doing, never change who you are. You're not bound by your stereotypes, right? You're not bound by your words. Don't be bound by fear. Veganism is nothing that's scary. It is not. You have questions, there's a whole community for you. A whole community. You have questions, you feel free to come and ask me once everything is done. I'll be more than happy to answer questions. But just want to say that, again, the outside, black does not crack. But if you don't take care of your inside, it does not matter at all. So be good to your vessels. Be good to your body. Think, and your body, the planet, and the animals will thank you. Thank you very much for it.
That was amazing. Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Adaora. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do our intermission, but you want to make sure that you stay until the end of the program. The power speaker has a lot of golden nuggets that she would like to share with you. You do not want to miss it, so please, please, please. We also have a nice piece from Ms. Isna over there, and so we're going to go ahead and have our intermission. It is about 15 minutes. You're more than welcome to use the bathroom. You can visit the tables, talk with each other. All right. So, welcome back, everyone, to the Power Speaker and Company Empowerment event. Now we have the amazing mother of 3 Cleveland, Ohio native, writer and poet out to make a difference, Isna Tianti.
I get kind of animated with my hands, so I'll be like,
If you want me to...
hey, that's fine. I think I can project. How's everybody doing? Good. I'm glad to be here, and thank you, Queen, for inviting me to share my spoken word. And so, without further ado, I'm going to do this piece that I did called I Was There. And it takes you back to where it all began as far as, I would say, African Americans here in America during the transition of slavery. So we'll just go into it. I was there. In the morning, I see a bright new dawning. I hear them calling, calling like the birds chirping, like the butterfly flying. I hear them calling, saying, dear child, can't you see me smiling? smiling down and around you. I remember our dismemberment, when back on the auction blocks like Samson they shaved your locks, stripping you bare, making you aware of our nakedness. I was there when they changed your name and maimed your soul and told you you didn't have an ounce of gold. Saying sold to the highest bidder, here, take your nigga. I saw the fading of your dreams when they raped your black queen, who never once desired whipped cream, especially the kind that made her scream. And no, not in delight, but with soreness and fright. I was there. See the stretch marks I bear of giving birth and growing tales of how long I've been in the knowing. See, a tree reveals many things, and my midsection exhibits the rings of the spirits I bring. Black man, I understand your plight. Fighting for equal rights. It's wrong that we were taken from the center of the equator, and now unbalanced, we struggle to find peace with our Creator. I was there. I can relate. I still await the date when we can communicate about our destined fate, wanting to rub your back and massage you from head to toe so that you'll know I am in touch with your pain. I share in your losses and gains, and yes, I taste the rain of your silent tears of trial-filled years, now understanding why your water has turned to vodka and beer. I was there, and still I'm here. I'll dry your eyes, realize that I wasn't always down to stick around when you were beaten and stumped to the ground. But I began to see you was weak when you lower your head and eyes when you speak. Well, except for when you greeted me with you bitch and you frequency. I understand. You really didn't mean to talk to me that way. You just learned to repeat what old masters say, and now society still fails. Now that you're able to show your anger, you're still killed and locked in cells. So the history of our past, we once again meet, and I ask myself, how in the hell did we let this cycle repeat? We're still being whipped by the systems in the homes and street, still being fed leftover meat, still trying to march towards freedom's beat. Well, freedom come and play the drums, because if the trumpets play, our ears are now numb. So I pray that when it comes that the beat is tight, because if it's a heart, we're gonna miss the flight. Freedom come. Open ears and minds that are dumb. Freedom come for us tonight and lead us back to truth, love, and light. In the morning. Before I leave, I do have a book. It's called 4 Year Season Stories of Poetry, and I just completed a book called Poetically Speaking, which is a book of quotes, over 400 quotes that I was inspired to write daily and time them. And it was supposed to be out back in May, but God's timing, it is still in the production of being printed. So please look out for Poetically Speaking. I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Awesome. That was amazing. What's that about? Goodness. Chill. We might have to. I like that. I can go and get there. Stop the time there. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the event that you have been waiting for. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
I know you're ready. All right, help me welcome the woman that you have been waiting for, the lady of the hour, the power speaker herself, Dr. Uwa Onyloha-Osimiri.
Hey, Amarachi, Amarachi, hey, Amarachi, Amarachi, hey, Amarachi, Amarachi, hey, Amarachi, Amarachi, Chukwu gozi unu, Amarachi, ekele unu, Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne, Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne, Amarachi, ụmụnne m kwuru abịala, Amarachi. Amarachi, udo dịrị gị. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne. Amarachi, 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 Chukwu gọzie gị. Amarachi, ekele dịrị gị. Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne. Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, udo dịrị unu. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, ekele dịrị unu. Amarachi, 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 Chukwu gọzie unu. Amarachi, ekele dịrị unu. Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne. Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, udo dịrị unu. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, ekele dịrị unu. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, ekele dịrị unu. Let me see some of you move. Hey, Amarachi, Amarachi, hey, Amarachi, Amarachi, Chukwu gọzie gị. Amarachi, ekele dịrị gị. Amarachi, nwanne m unu abịala. Amarachi, udo dịrị gị. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, ekele dịrị unu. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, ekele dịrị unu. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, anyị bụ nwanne. Amarachi, ụmụnne m unu abịala. Amarachi, ekele dịrị unu. Amarachi. Well, I am so happy to be here today. Thank you so very much for being here. You know, I'm from Nigeria. And we say, when two or more people are gathered, the Creator is there. Somebody say, Ise. And where there are empty seats, that is where the ancestors are sitting. So this room is full with people seen and unseen. Somebody say, Ise. Amarachi. Amarachi. Can you all say that? Amarachi means the glory of the Creator. Long life, prosperity, goodness, goodwill. This is what I wish for all of you gathered here underneath the sound of my voice. Y'all looking good to me. The title of our program is You Are Not Bound by Yesterday, On Forward. You're not bound by yesterday, on forward. I want to read something to you before I go any further. For my sisters, where are the sisters in the room? You're all in here. My brothers, you know, we love you. We love my brothers. No, we love our brothers. Yes. But you know, right now, let me talk to the sisters. My book, Echiche. Echiche means deep thought.
Talk to us.
Come on now. You got to pick up that book and read it. But this is for my sisters. We are diamonds. Who's not a diamond here? If you're not a diamond, sit down. But the rest of you who feel you're diamonds, would you please stand up? Because you are diamonds. Yes, this is for you. Listen up. I want you to hear me. Brothers, these are your women. Blessed sisters, know this. God made us, molded and shaped us into the magnificent beings that we are. Each one of us is chiseled and shaped in a different way to venerate the image and the sacredness of the Most High. We are tall and graceful, short and more, skinny and agile, voluptuous and sexy. We can make a man see margarine and think of home-churned butter. Mercy! We are light-skinned, we are dark-skinned, and brown sugar. We do not shrink from our greatness because some fool who is blind in one eye and can't see out the other wants to define that which he or she cannot see. Somebody say, he said, we are intelligent. intelligent and beautiful beyond measure. That's right. We can create and build, make money, and have the right to spend. That's me. And we age gracefully like the bubble of delicious aged wine. We must know it, feel it in our soul, and act accordingly. Yes. Sisters, we have Holy Spirit's blessing to go ahead, sashay, glide, sway, and move our minds and bodies in that special way that makes nature smile, and then say amen. Come on. And my book is called Attitude, Deep Thoughts. Please be seated. You know, when we think about not being bound by yesterday, I think about what Dr. Martin Luther King said. You know, many of us, when we think about Dr. Martin Luther King, we think about what? I have a dream. Ah, yes, that was powerful. But there's another speech that he made. I can't make all of it, but I take excerpts from it. He said, if you cannot fly, drive. If you cannot drive, walk, run. If you cannot run, walk, and if you can't walk, crawl. Just get there somehow. Somebody say, don't be strapped by yesterday. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is on its way. And all you got is today. What you do with what you learned yesterday prepares you for tomorrow. Somebody say, Ise. You're not bound by yesterday. You're not bound by the condition of your birth, places and principalities. I'm reminded of a man in my village called Uwa. Uwa was an ugly man. Y'all forgive me for saying that. But he was ugly. You know how they say somebody put an ugly in ugly? He did. But you couldn't tell him that. That was the condition of his birth. But you couldn't tell him he was not all that. You know, he had to carry his head. It was big. So he had to, I don't know if it was because of pride or it was just too big for him to let it go. But he always looked up, never looked down. And people always wondered, why is this ugly man so happy all the time? Huh? You know, he turned out to be the best boat maker in my village. The best. He was not strapped by the condition of his birth. And when somebody had the audacity to ask him, why are you so happy? You know what he said to them? You can't be better than me in every way. See, you may be taller than me, I'm shorter than you are. You may be fatter than me, I'm thinner than you are. You may be richer than me, I'm poorer than you are. You may be cuter than me, and I'm uglier than you are. You can never be better than me. So somebody say, he said, he was not bound by the condition of his birth. He said, your definition of me cannot be my reality. I define myself. Somebody say, he said. That's the way we have to live our lives, just like he said. War is hell. Why did I bring that up? Now, how many of you listen to the news? You're in politics, you know what I'm talking about. We're always talking about war. Have you ever experienced war? How many of you have experienced war? Raise your hand. Yes. War is ugly. It's the ugliest thing. It deals not just with the kind of thing you see on television. It deals with death and the stench of death and all that comes with death. It can break you, spiritually break you. My story started in Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. How many of you are from Nigeria? They're from Mable land. They know what I mean when I talk about war. The Nigerian Biafran War. I don't know how many of you heard about the Nigerian Biafran War. What was ugly about it was that the British and America were all involved. People were dying from starvation. Have you ever seen, you've heard about Kwashoko? How many of you have heard about that? Kwashoko. Come on, how many have heard it? Kwashoko is malnutrition. When you're so malnourished that you're walking dead, skeleton, stomach. 2 million Igbo kids were starved to death. 2 million, think about that. When we were young, we used to watch the planes come and strike. Do you know what it means when they strike? When the fighter jet comes and finds people and strikes them to death. I remember one time I was in school, in elementary school. I can't tell you the whole story, it's a long story, but I just want to pick this one. we were in school, we were dressed, our uniform was red and white. And what happens then is, the military will come, the British jet fighters will come and find them. See, these were little black kids, they didn't matter to them. So they would shoot us, just kill us, all of us would be running. And you just sit there and you watch all these babies being shot. You at home and your baby's at school, but may not come home. So there was a hole in the ground and I ran in there during the wartime. I ran into that hole and this young man pulled me out of it because he wanted that hole. As soon as I was pulled out of it, the bomb dropped right in that hole with him in it, and he was killed. He said, he's my hero. I know who he is, but he's my hero. But the tragedy of the war that could have destroyed me was after the war. It wasn't even during the war. The war itself was horrible, and it's a long story, like I said. But at the end of the war, the soldiers were taking young girls from their parents, marrying them, raping them, dishonoring them, doing whatever they could do. After the war, my parents got the news that the soldiers were taking away the daughters, the girls, you know. So I had a 16-year-old sister. So they locked her up in one of the rooms and gave her water and food and told her they'll be back to pick her up. My other sister, who was 14 at that time, they put a pillow around her stomach and sent her with my cousin to pretend that she was pregnant so that they would leave her alone. But me, on the other hand, I'm like 9 years old, so who's interested in a little 9-year-old, right? So we were sent up, the soldiers took my parents' car and we were sent up the hill to wait for my parents as they tried to negotiate getting the battery of their car back. Long story short, I saw this soldier coming down the road. And I've heard that they were taking young girls, so I panicked. And I ran into the forest. And he saw me. So he ran up to me and he grabbed me out of the forest and he says, "Why are you running?" I didn't know what to tell him. He says, "Well, you're going to be my wife." My little brothers and sisters were there. "You're going to be my wife." I said, "Well, I have to think about it. I've always been a smart aleck, you know. So I thought I'll talk my way out of this one. So I said, "No, you can't marry me. I'm already married." I'm 9 years old, I want you to know. He said, "Oh, really? So you're 9? So you're married? Okay, take me, go show me your husband." I said, "My husband's right over there." He says, "Okay, fine, let's go find him." Well, there was no husband, right? So he took me to his place, and there was a little kid that would have to watch over me. My parents were around, they couldn't do anything. They tried desperately to free me, they could not. And then my nightmare started. I was sodomized. Anything you can think about, this man did. It was a horror story that I'm putting down in a book, and I'm writing a book about it. But the worst part of it wasn't what was happening. There was a hole in the wall, and there were kids. The kids saw what was going on. Can you imagine how embarrassing that was? But at the end of the day, after all of that, my parents had to leave me because their lives were threatened and they had the other kids they had to take care of. So they hoped that I would find my way home. In the meantime, I'm in this soldier's place, and this 12-year-old, a kid that looked like 12 years old, was told to keep an eye on me. When the soldier left, he had seen what had happened. He couldn't take any more of it. So he told me to run, because he himself had to run. So he took up that way, and I took up this way. Well, I didn't know if it was morning or how many days I was running, because it was like night, day, mosquito bites, name it. I just kept running, and the stench of dead bodies was all over the place. But I knew one thing, I was not going to go through that again. I wanted to go as far as these little legs could take me. And I was fortunate to run onto the road, and right across the road was a hut. And guess who was at the door? My mother. Oh. You know, motherhood is something. She was not going to leave her daughter. So they took care of me until I was well enough for us to walk 144 miles to a mile. We walked that many miles. And even after all that nonsense, these soldiers kept chasing after me. On our way, my mother said, well, I tell you what, if you're going to marry this little girl, you're going to marry me too. So you know how my mom is, she took a cloth and wrapped it around her and said, you want a wife? There are two. You take my daughter, you got to marry me too, right? Nobody wanted to marry her. So they said, yeah, take your daughter, and they let me go. But when we got to Maya, it was so, a 9-year-old child, the bothering was so much that a soldier, a military officer, had to tell them that I was his wife for them to leave me alone. Long story short, that was enough to destroy me. A precocious child, somebody who was into everything, but I couldn't look up. I had a tendency now, I was withdrawn. I thought I was a bad person. It was my fault. I blamed myself for everything. But that father, how many of you had a father? I had a father. My father, God love him, is no longer with us, he's an ancestor. He lived to be 80 years old. Bless his heart. And he knew that if he did not do something, he was going to lose his daughter. So my father used to wake me up very early in the morning at 5 a.m. Now he had how many kids? My dad, mom and dad had 10 children. Now for him to wake me up that early and take me out and make me watch the sun rise, I wasn't interested in the sun. I was just excited that I was sitting there with my dad. He belonged to me at that time. And we'll sit there. Our backyard faces the east, so you can actually see, this was in the middle, you can actually see the sun rise. And we'll watch the sun rise. And my father finally said, do you know why I make you watch the sunrise? I said, no. He said, I make you watch the sunrise because that's the only thing greater than you. The greatest manifestation of God. And unless somebody is the sun, they cannot tell you what you can or cannot do. Somebody said, he says. And he says, you don't have the right to die until you made a difference and never live anywhere unknown. Hear me again.
Yes.
You do not have the right to die until you made a difference and never lived anywhere unknown. My father says, stand up. I asked all of you to stand up. Stand up. He told me, stand up. Do you realize that you have the power of the kings and queens in your body? Somebody said, he said. He said, stand up. Do you realize you are sacred? Have you ever seen the eagle in flight? Huh? The eagle does not care about what's going on underneath. He just soars. He said, you are as sacred as an eagle. Stand up. You as powerful as the warrior. Stand up. Speak for yourself. Define yourself. Somebody say, he said. You have the wisdom of the great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers in the recesses of your mind accessible to you through the power of your spirit. Stand up. Unless they are the sun, they cannot define you. Somebody say, he said. That was my father. You are not bound by yesterday. He said, what happened yesterday cannot define your today. Learn from it and move forward. Right. You do not stay stuck just because somebody did. There's nothing out here that you cannot have. Woo, somebody say, he said. He says there is nothing that somebody has that's too good for you. There's nothing. Who wants something they cannot have? We all want something we can have, right? Even if we dream it. There's nothing anybody has that's too good for you. You're what life is all about. You're your very own best friend. You were born out of love, bred by grace. Somebody say, he said. Your crown is already bought and paid for. Pick it up. All of y'all bend down. Please pick it up and put it on your head. And remember, you are not bound by yesterday. Somebody say, turn to your neighbor and say, you're not bound by yesterday. You were not bound yesterday. On forward. On forward. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, all yesterday does, you know that, is teach you what to do when? Today. Oh, that's all we've got. How many of us are sure they'll be here tomorrow? There's no certainty of that. So what are you going to do with today? What are you going to do with? Live it and then use it to do what? Prepare just in case tomorrow does come. You see, when you define yourself, he said, when you define yourself, you allow yourself to go go beyond your humanness. And when you go beyond your humanness, that means you're going beyond other human beings. What they think don't matter. You start climbing. Look up, y'all. Look up, climb. You know, let me tell you something about climbing that you need to know. Anytime you start climbing, you know what happens? You get enemies. Woo! Who doesn't know that? They don't hate you though. You know why they talk about you? Huh? They talk about it because it's a new you emerging. You're going to leave them behind.
That's right.
But the important thing is keep climbing. Huh? Keep climbing and don't look down. When you're climbing, they'll be throwing stones. What happens to those stones? It falls right back on their head. Okay? So you just keep on climbing. You're going to have struggles, Dad said. But here's the thing about struggles. It helps you build muscles. Can you all flex your muscles? Big ones. Now I tell you now, don't laugh now. Flex your muscles. Everything you've been through in this life is what making your muscles tough. It helps you build muscles that you can flex. Troubles help you be quick on your feet. It teaches you how to weave, bob, and get out of the way. That's all it does. You're not bound by yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. On forward. On forward. Yeah, y'all say it. Come on. You're not bound by yesterday. On forward. Let us stop listening to she said, she didn't say, who said, who didn't say. Mind your business. And that business is grow who you are. Don't listen to all that noise. Don't listen to the noise of the world because it will slow you down. I want to end on this note. Y'all heard what you like? Did you like what you heard so far? Yeah. Let me stop it. I love to laugh too. Let me tell you about Les Brown. Who knows about Les Brown? My favorite person. My favorite person. See, sometimes you gotta listen. One great American said, according to him, one great American said, I do not wish to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon if I can. Why do we like to be common? When you are common, somebody else takes care of you. What happens when they take care of you? What happens when they take care of you? They begin to control you. He says, one great American says, I do not wish to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having other people take care of me. I want to say to the world, this is who I am, this is what I've done. We're all going to die someday. When the fields are on the bleachers, don't die for nothing. Somebody say, And I tell you, as you move from yesterday into what? Today. We're not going to talk about tomorrow because they ain't here yet. Into today. Les Brown reminds us that if you believe in anything at all, you go out and you fight for it. Let me say it, let me hear it, let me tell you that again. You go out and you fight for it. You lose your time, your peace, and your energy for it. And if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and your life seems incomplete without it, fight for it. Sweat for it. Lose all your terrible position for it. And if you simply go after that something that you want, with all your capacity, all your strength, faith and sagacity, and if neither cold poverty, sickness of the mind or body will keep you from that something that you want, you can besiege and beset. And with the help of the Almighty God, you get it. Somebody say, it's it. Raise your right hand, y'all. Yes. Put it on your back. Pat yourself on your back and say to yourself, I'm done with yesterday. I'm done with yesterday. On forward. One more time. I'm done with yesterday. On forward. And so it is. So it is. I want us to just end with this little prayer. I want all of y'all to please. You know, we have to open our hands and let the energy of the Creator come into us. Thank you for this wonderful gathering. Thank you for allowing us to hear each other. Thank you for bringing these wonderful, powerful speakers to share with us. Thank you, ancestors, for being in the room. For those who could not make it, we wish them well wherever they may be. For those who are here, thank you for being here. And we soaked up your energy, just so you know. Thank you for being in front of us, behind us, beside us, above us, looking ahead for us. May we be like birds. May we not strike a tree in flight. This is what birds do. They keep on going. They don't hit a tree, they just keep flying. And so it is with us. Wherever we go today, we're going to go in peace. Whatever we touch today, it's going to turn into gold. Whatever we do today, it is going to be enough to teach us what we need to know so that we can prepare for tomorrow.
Yes.
We ask you, most heavenly hosts, to remind us that we are great beyond measure. That we are great beyond measure, and we are not defined by yesterday. Let us please touch humanity. Reach out and hold somebody's hand. Just touch humanity. Touch somebody's hand. Hold somebody. May I hold yours? Let me hold yours. Let me hold yours. As we touch each other, we are connecting with each other spiritually. We are connecting with each other spiritually. We are surrounded by the love of the Creator, engulfing us, protecting us. And although we are going to now disengage our hands, we are going to do it slowly. Disengage your hands slowly. Although we are no longer physically connected, we shall remain spiritually connected. And so it is. Now please turn around and give somebody a big hug, and don't forget to patronize our speakers and all that they have.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our program. Please, 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 the ladies definitely have products back at their tables. Make sure that before you leave, you visit their tables and get some tips, okay? Thank you so much for everyone that has come out and everyone that actually put in their time and effort. We want to give them a round of applause.